You can hear me, yes?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. Hello, Lee. Okay, beautiful. Okay, Barbara. Hello, Holly.
Nice to see you, Magdi. Thank you.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nice to see you.
It's always nice to see you, Lee. Yes, thank you. So, if you have any questions. Thank you. Hello, Barbara. Barbara, you asked, can you talk about how to react to anxiety? Well, it's helpful to understand, Barbara, the process. Obviously, when you are feeling anxiety, there is something happening, and I think it makes sense to understand what is happening, to sort of unveil the process. In terms of reacting to anxiety, it's something that's happening, meaning there is a concern, there is a contraction, maybe there is a worry, meaning there is thought about what's going to happen to me. Will I survive? Will I be healthy? Will the situation improve for me? Will my relationship work out? Will I be loved? So there is that's already happening. So the best way to react to what's happening is just, ideally, to just simply notice it. Simply notice from a place of complete neutrality what is happening. Because whatever is happening, in a way, it's like the weather. Of course, the weather is happening in nature. There is also an internal weather. Our feelings, our emotions, the bodily sensations. They're happening. So maybe the best way to react is not to react. Because reaction, in a way, is after the fact. Something's already happening. So we may feel threatened. We may feel that something is happening to me. Maybe something is happening to my relationship. Something is happening in my family. In my neighborhood, people don't like me, or at work. Something is unfolding that I perceive as some sort of threat, that's already happening. So there really is nothing much to do about it. But you can contemplate and come to an understanding of what is happening and why it's happening and how come it's happening. Because when you get the understanding, you may find a place of complete invulnerability, non-vulnerability. You may find a place of complete safety and well-being, irrespective of what is happening. So, anxiety usually refers to some sort of thinking and feeling, meaning sensory. There is a thinking process about me in time or me in the past, a regret, a worry, or some anxiety about the future, what's going to happen to me as an entity, me as a mortal body mind, what is going to happen to me in the future. It could be also very subtle, meaning you may not be able to perceive the thinking process that's occurring because you may have been so habituated to this thinking process that you don't notice it anymore. You're just feeling the anxiety. It's like a general sense of anxiety. So there is a way of digging deeper into it, behind the feeling, to come to some clarity about your assumptions about yourself. Because there are some assumptions that are being made about yourself, some thoughts about yourself, some thoughts about you in time, about others in relationship to you in time. These thoughts need to come to the light, to come to clarity. And these thoughts that you have about yourself in time are a passing stream of images, sounds, appearing like clouds appear in the sky. But somehow you believe, and therefore you feel, that there is something there is a danger to you, that these thoughts constitute a danger to you, that these sensations constitute a danger to you. What is this you? Anxiety always refers to a separate me in time. I'm okay now, but will I be okay tomorrow? I'm healthy now, but maybe I will not be healthy tomorrow. I have a good relationship now, but maybe that relationship will not be okay tomorrow. I have a good position now, a good job now, a good home now, but maybe I will lose it. What is this I that you imagine yourself to be? Do you need to imagine yourself? Can you be, for a moment, so open that you don't need really to imagine yourself? And if you do imagine yourself, can you let it go? Meaning, not to pin it down, not to make it a concrete definition of yourself, to keep yourself undefined. So there is a definition of you that arises, to allow it to dissolve in the space, not to anchor it. This way, no definition of yourself will actually define you, because it defines you for a second, then it dissolves in the space. So you remain undefined. Not knowing what you are is perfect. I know it may sound like an obscenity. You don't know what you are. How can you not know what you are? We are so proud of knowing what we are and who we are. But not knowing what you are is higher. It's a higher truth. Meaning not to be defined by any definition. All definitions are limited. All descriptions are limited. But consciousness is not limited. Anxiety refers to a person. It does not refer to consciousness. You follow?
Yes, thank you very much. That's helpful.
You see, when you assume yourself to be an entity in time, anxiety is inevitable. Because all objects in time are subject to decay and change. They are subject to conditions. You don't need to perceive yourself as somebody in time. The impression of time arises to you out of, it has a functional value, a limited purpose, which is okay. So time arises in you. You do not arise in time. You see? And what arises in you, you are free of it. It depends on you, but you don't depend on it. So thoughts arise in you, but you do not arise in a thought. That's why it said that no thought defines you. Same thing with bodily sensations. Bodily sensations arise in the aware space that you are. So you are, let's say, the perceiver in chief. You perceive, but you remain as your freedom. You're not subject to what you perceive. Like in the night dream, the dreamer is not subject of what is arising in the dream, the dream images. The dreamer is not subject to the dream images. The dream images need the dreamer. But the dreamer dreams of elephants, of tigers, of rivers, of butterflies. Remains beyond the dream. So anxiety refers to this body-mind aspect with the belief that I am a woman, I am a man, in time and space. When you assume to be yourself a person, there are all sorts of unhappy experiences that arise. There are worries about whether I'm loved, whether I'm successful, whether I'm smart enough, whether I'm healthy enough, whether my neighbors love me, whether my parents love me, whether how am I doing in my work. And all of this is about me believing, the me belief that I'm a person. But consciousness is complete freedom, this peace and beauty. Imperturbable. Is that the right English word? Imperturbable? Non-perturbable, undisturbed, untouched, unmoved. And you are this consciousness, you see. So don't give too much attention to anxiety and about trying to solve it. Don't worry about it. Just allow it to be. Whatever it is happening, okay, it's happening. Allow it to be. And as best as you can, recognize yourself as the awareness. You recognize yourself as that which is just beyond all of it, sort of experiencing it, watching it. That you are this aware space right now that perceives this perception, the reality of consciousness. So just recollect that you are the reality of consciousness. Don't worry about fixing the anxieties, because that's like a, how do you say, whirlpool. It's like a whirlpool. You try to fix it and it swallows you. Yeah. So what? You feel anxiety. Okay, so you can feel it, you see. Because you are, this consciousness that can experience everything. You see, so okay, you experience anxiety. But you recollect, and it's not about fixing the anxiety, okay? I'm not giving you a method to fix the anxiety, because that's not what it's about. The non-dual teaching is not about having a happy life. It's about the revelation of happiness, which goes way beyond the happy life. Happy life is a little event in the cosmology of happiness, which is the vastness of happiness, the eternity of happiness. So I'm talking about the eternity of happiness, not about being anxiety-free. Anxiety, what do I care about it? It doesn't bother me. Truly, it doesn't bother me. What I am is the eternal self, you see. So just always come back to the eternal self, come back to what you truly are. And allow the mind to do what it does. Who cares? Just recollect what you truly are. This aware presence. Formless, eternal, so sweet, so tender. Yes?
Yes, thanks very much. That's very helpful.
Okay, beautiful. Nice to see you, Barbara. Beautiful.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Okay. Through relationships are in heaven, are made in heaven. Heaven, the heaven of consciousness, not a heaven out there after we die or after the body dies. Or no, love is made in heaven, and it's made of heaven. Love is heaven, and what we love is that we love the beauty, not to have a good experience. Having good experience is still in time and space. When you love, when you truly love, there are no conditions. You're not expecting anything in return. You're completely surrendered to the love. You're not concerned about where it's going to go, how it's going to go. And love is beyond me and you. There is no other in love. The other is your very self. Like a mother loves the baby in her. It's beyond any thought. It's a love of oneness. It's love as oneness. And we think there are different types of love, but there aren't. We say there is motherly love and, I don't know, that sort of love and this sort of love. No, it's just love. There are no types of love. It's just love. So imagine the love that the electrons have with the atom. This, or the planets and their gravitational connection with the sun. Love is like that. It's not, oh, I don't love the sun anymore, I'm leaving. Planet Earth is gonna leave. I don't like you anymore. You're not as bright as you used to be. I'm leaving now. No. Doesn't matter. Your partner comes and goes. What happens? Love is eternal. What you love in your partner is the truth, the reality, consciousness, is God. That's what you truly love. And that's how you love. You love the other as yourself. And you give yourself, you grant yourself complete freedom, don't you? I mean, of course you have your own inner values, which are divine values of respecting others, not hurting the others, being conscious of the impact of your actions. That's innate to you. That's the highest values, the qualities of the self. So you love the other as you love yourself. You give yourself complete freedom. So you give also your partner complete freedom and love. Nothing stands in the way of that. Nothing. When you allow shadows to stand in the way, you're allowing shadows to stand in the way of your happiness, of the happiness of the self. You're allowing shadows to stand in the face of love. And that's not wise. It will not bear any happy fruit, any happy results. And the concern about me in time, my life in time, what's going to happen to me in time, that is a bad virus. Because you don't exist in time. Time exists in you. You decide what to do with time. You decide to make yourself slave of time. Why? There's no happiness in that. What's going to happen to me in time is you deciding to make yourself a subject of time, subject of something that is your own creation. Does the king or the queen make themselves subject to their own subjects, to their own advisors? Do they make themselves subject to them? No. It is the advisors that are the subject to the king and the queen. Nobody is forcing you to make yourself subject of time. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to us in time? No, don't walk in that path. So if you have any questions. The question, reading the question, is spirituality just a concept. What does it mean to be spiritual, if anything? So, when we talk of spirituality, spirit, we are not talking about some weird voodoo thing that inhabits us, that sort of floats around, and some has magical properties and mystical properties. When we talk of spirit, at least in the Advaita, in the non-dual teaching, we're speaking about that, the reality of the self, which is not in the phenomenal realm. The phenomenal realm refers to perceptions, sensations, thoughts, feelings, emotions, creative thinking. The world, body, mind. That's sort of the phenomenal realm. Now there is the realm to which the phenomenal realm appears, and out of which the phenomenal realm appears. So I repeat, there is that which is non-phenomenal, to which the phenomenal appears, and out of which the world, body, mind appears. In some circles, they refer to that as spirit. I don't use that term in my sharing. I speak about awareness, consciousness, knowingness, beingness, I am, the I amness, reality, the reality of consciousness, the reality of the self, the reality of the I am. I don't use the term spirit because spirit, there is some nuances to the term spirit that refers to like ghosts and a sort of a mind, a surreal mind realm. So I don't use that term. But since you asked a question about what is the meaning of spirituality, I only can share with you from the teaching that I share. So the consciousness is not a concept. It is the reality of your experience. It does not depend on experiencing. It does not depend on what is being experienced. Consciousness stands of its own as I know myself to be. Not I know myself to be because I perceive a tree or because I have feelings. No. Consciousness stands on its own because it is knowingness. Knowingness, purity of knowingness, knows itself, knows that it is. So you know you are, and it knows itself to be the ultimate knowingness. Meaning there is one knowingness. one consciousness that perceives all perceptions, which we refer to as I. We imagine this I to be a personal body, mind, a person. But it's not. It is your contemplation of the I, its reality, and its universality, its borderless beingness, that brings an end to the illusion, the unhappy illusion of separation. So that's what spirituality is about, true spirituality. It's about the revelation of happiness, of causeless peace and happiness. That does not depend on body-mind events, that does not depend on the impressions of time and space. The mind cannot comprehend it. It can only dissolve in it. The mind dissolves in it. And only it remains shining. As the reality that is beyond all realms. So I hope this answers your question. Any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Holly.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So what you've said already has really meant, I don't know, I've taken it in a lot. It's really impacted me. After I hear you speak, I find myself very quickly sort of this mental process kicks in of trying to kind of grab on to certain details of what you said, wondering how to remember, but it feels like a very mental process. So I was just wondering if you could talk about listening and what the right attitude is to take towards listening.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for this question. This is a very, very good question. So, can we listen? Is it possible to listen without a me? Without this impression that somebody needs to get it, needs to hold on to it, needs to synthesize it, needs to recollect it, needs to find it, needs to share it. Is it possible to listen without a me? So, in listening, you go to your openness, you go to your wholeness, you go to your totality. So when you're listening, you're not listening with your ears, with your eyes, you're listening with your entire being. So your entire being is like a listening space, using that metaphor. It's a listening field, it's a field of listening. It's not a field of accepting or rejecting, it's just a field of listening. And you rejoice in what you listen. You rejoice in the listening. When the listening has that expression of the divine, you know it as your enjoyment. It's a deep resonance, a free space, an open space of freedom. And the listening space contracts when there is this me impression that is being shared. Look at me, look how great I can impress you with what I know, and I can prove to you how great I am. That in that listening space, that's also being perceived, and the listening space goes, I don't really like that. It's like, please, I love you. Spare me. You don't need to impress me. I love you. Okay, I love you. You don't need to impress me. Just relax. Be happy. So in listening, can we listen from this openness? This does not mean to accept what is being said. Some things we listen to, we say, okay, I'm listening from the openness, and the answer is, I need to move. I need to move on. But the question is, can we listen from a space of openness, a non-judgmental space, is an embracing space that it's just open, that recognizes the other as myself, and that very well may say to the other, you know, that is the wrong direction, or it's a direction that does not resonate here. Good luck to you, best to you. I love you, I'm available to you whenever you want to knock on my door, or maybe I'm not available to you. It depends, you never know. You never know. There are no rules about it. So in listening, in true listening, we are listening beyond the mind, beyond our filters. There is no need for our filters. There is a higher intelligence that goes yes. And it says yes to love, to respect, to kindness. And that very wisdom says no to this me versus you dynamics. But you don't need the mind's filters for that. Consciousness is the ultimate reality, and it knows love, it is love, it loves love, it welcomes love, and it pinches whenever you move away from love, whenever you move away from truth. It pinches, it sends unhappiness to remind you, hey, that's the wrong path, come back to me. So you don't need to remember. It's complete surrender. You don't need to hold on to anything. Whatever you hold on to is a burden, weighs you down. You remain as the transparency of being, weightless, the weightlessness of being, unburdened. You don't need to carry files and folders. You are the self. You are the radiance. You don't need to become anything or improve anything. Just realize in this very moment, you are this open presence, this loving field that has no borders. And it's not personal, it's a universal field of love and joy and freedom and peace and intelligence, wisdom. Thought may arise, oh gee, I need to remember this, I need to make a note of this. This old habit. Maybe we pick it up in school when, you know, how they teach us to gather information, to collect information. That you're worthwhile, you are of value if you're able to recite the entire Upanishads or memorize the entire Upanishads. There are a lot of schools like that. They teach you all these things. But what is this you? What is this I? That is what all the teachings are about the revelation of the I, the self. That is complete transparency in this very moment, the transparency of being. So beautiful. It's what I am. The transparency of being, this presence. It's always on, like the sun is always shining. Simply notice that whenever you take yourself to be a woman, a person, and then there are others, me and others, then you reduce this openness of being to limited, separate, objective beings. And then there is a tug of war: do they love me? Don't they love me? What do I need to do so that I can get in their trust? Or what are they going to think about me? And all of this unhappy nonsense. But we live that way. It's so crazy. We live that way a lot. I mean, maybe most of our life we are living this way. But this needs to come to an end. We cannot continue that way. It's not happy. If one sheep jumps in the water, we don't need to follow them and jump in the water. No. We remain with our wisdom, our intelligence. We follow the path of God, the path of happiness, the path of freedom and joy. Not the concern about me and all the measurement, the comparison. Oh, it's very unhappy. I mean, we know it. And it's unnecessary for this celebration of life and beauty. It's a real God's gift. Consciousness is God. The reality of the self, the reality that perceives right now. Goodness, I mean, isn't it something? It's amazing. Yes. Just remain as that, celebrate that. Okay, Holly, I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for your lovely company, for the beauty and the love. So, namaste, thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Magdi.
Bye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.